Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Goddamn Cloud, and I'm here with
Hardcore effing Dave.
He's so hardcore. He edits himself.
Exactly. I don't need to swear.
This is episode 11, episode 12, episode 13, episode 14,
Episode 15?
episode 15, and episode 16. All in one, encompassed in about, I want to say, six little titles, six little...
So we're doing 6 episodes and 6 bullet points.
Yes, there. Thank you very much. But some episodes won't even be covered because it's like, who gives a shit? There are certain things that have happened throughout this season that I haven't covered yet, where I'm like, it's worthy of mentioning, but I'm still like begrudgingly recording anyways, because I'll just say this right now, I don't like the challenge this season, this moment.
Exactly. And we're on episode 16 right now.
Yeah.
And have we ever had a season that's been this long? Usually episode 16 is like a reunion show where the season's already over. They've really stretched this out to like epic proportions, to nothing we've ever seen. I don't think we've ever seen a season that's gone this many episodes.
Oh my god, no! Either Vendettas or Dirty 30 went to about 20 episodes, I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is brutal because this season started in the beginning of July, and it is the end of October. It's going to go into November. This is almost like 6 months of this season. Like at some point, like maybe you need to actually have some content in some episodes, more than just like 2 things happening. Just kind of edit out some of the fluff. But no, MTV won't have it. They're gonna fluff up all these episodes, have like 3 things happen the entire time.
And there's shows on like say NBC, and they have a season of it, and it's about maybe 20 episodes, right? But they don't construct it the way that the challenge does, where like everything's a cliffhanger, everything's stretched out, full of nonsense. The rules are constantly changing. People are like, okay, this is the other thing. Going into this season, when I realized I'm like, oh god, maybe the show isn't for me, and I actually want to take some time off or whatever, I was like, I'm only going to cover it when a full episode, quote unquote, happens in my mind where people are eliminated. To me, that gets the season going still. It affects the season overall. So I'm like, okay, I'm only going to do this during the Armageddons. We've only had 3 Armageddons in 16 episodes.
That's because MTV outsmarted you, Vince. They're like, hey, if we add a redemption house where people constantly come back, no one is actually ever going home. They bypassed your little thought process there, and they're like, hey, no one's ever officially eliminated until they're eliminated like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. To me, okay, I've been podcasting about this show. When I first started, it was about, I want to say 3 years ago. I know for sure 3 years ago, because there was once a moment in time where I'm like, oh my god, that's significant. But I haven't recorded in a while, especially in this season. So I'm like, why keep doing it? I don't like the show. I like the pro champs versus pros, champs versus stars.
Yeah, those are far better seasons.
Yes.
The way they're constructed, it's very concise. It's very tightly packaged. It's not drawn out to the degree that these other seasons are.
Yeah.
It's a lot more just action-packed and fun. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
We will not complain about this challenge the entire time. Let's start talking about these episodes and what happened.
Okay, well, I'm just going to sum it up in about 6 bullet points, like you mentioned. I just want to bring up Zach and Amanda overall.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we saw them, the most significant portions was when they just won a mission, working together, despite the fact that they really don't get along. We know that, right?
Yep.
And it's not like they just happen to win. They've been doing consistently well.
Oh, yeah.
And they've been sitting on top of 2 significant teams, not teams,
alliances.
Yeah, thank you. I can't think of it. So now when push came to shove, and even though they won and they were safe from elimination, they had to choose between Bananas and Tony and Hunter and Ashley. Neither one wanted to budge.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was like, okay, Zach, you want to win this? And I would say this to anyone. If you're not putting in Bananas and Tony, what the fuck are you doing this for? Because they are the number one seed in my mind to win this whole goddamn thing. If you go into a final, they're going to fucking win. You know? Fucking so I always have that in my back pocket. I'm always ready to throw that. I'm just like, no, this is my trump card. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know, this is my final thing where like you want to win, and especially when it comes to this final where it's winner take all. Winners take all. There's only one winner. So if you're in there with your buddies and your friends, fine. But even if I was friends with Bananas, I wouldn't want him in that final. He's won 6 out of 8 times in the final. He's won 7 out of 9 times when it comes to champs versus stars, I believe.
That's a lot of math.
Yeah,
I can't follow you.
Oh, now who doesn't like math, Dave? What
Exactly.
happened? How many beers did you have?
Okay.
There's some more math.
I'll give you some math.
All right.
Number of teams that Zach had as an alliance. 1, Tony and Bananas. Number of teams that Amanda had as an alliance. Hunter and Ashley. Joss and Amanda. Marie and Cara. Shane and Nelson.
Yes.
Like, Amanda had so many freaking teams that were on, quote-unquote, her side, where Zach only had one team that was on his side. So, perhaps she could have budged and listened to Zach, and they could have like, hey, you know, maybe Cara, Maria, and Marie, maybe we'll get rid of them. You know, you're not that close to friends with Marie. I know Amanda hates Cara. She told Cara that she wanted her horse to die earlier this year.
Yeah.
Like, they hate each other. Why wouldn't Amanda want to switch her vote and just vote for Cara, Maria, and Marie? Like, that would have made sense. But, like, that was the whole thing with that. Who are they going to vote in? They could not decide. It was the ultimate, like, showing of what a true vendetta is. It's being partnered with someone where you're never going to budge and never going to back down. Yeah. And Zach and Amanda were never going to back off of what they wanted to do to please the other person. There's no way they would rather just go home, win nothing, than to appease their partner.
Amanda wanted to win. It just didn't make any sense for Zach to say, like, I'd rather go into elimination, even though we're... Like, how is that allowed? They won the mission. They're safe. It's fucking doesn't make any sense. It would make more sense if TJ was like, okay, well then we're just going to leave it up to fate, and whoever draws a coin will go against whoever. No, that doesn't make any sense. No, that could have made sense. But still, though, okay. But the other thing is, Zach, to him, if you're taking his side entirely, being devil's advocate, Zach's advocate, and you're like, who was all on Zach's side? They are on a team. They have way more people working for them than against them. You know? So Zach's saying or thinking that Amanda has all these people on her side. That's still your side, Zach. You're still on her team. You're not going to get voted in by this huge group of people. You know what I mean? And if you face all the Lavender Ladies, say they all got to the final, I would say Zach and Amanda have a very good chance of winning it. They could outthink and out-physical Joss and Sylvia. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that...
it'd be a hell of a matchup. It's very close.
Yes, but then when you throw in Bananas and Tony, you're just like, no. Why even allow them at the final? That's insane. So, I don't know. I just always throw that in people's faces. I'm always throwing the banana card out there.
Your argument is probably correct. Like Zach and Amanda versus any one of the Lavender Lady teams, they probably have a good chance at winning. Them versus if they protect Bananas and Tony, they have a difficult road ahead of them. And the thing is Zach has a bromance with Tony.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They worked together last year. They got to the final last year. And that bromance is strong, man. You know? I'm sure they don't even show it on this season. I'm sure it's fucking 9 a.m. Everyone's hungover, sleeping in. And Zach and Tony are working out. They're pumping iron. They're being broskies together.
Yeah.
And that kind of friendship, like, Zach was not going to back off of that. He's like, I got Tony's back. I will never vote him in.
He certainly would never look like he had to bend for a female on television. He's like, no way. He really stood his ground. So,
well,
yeah.
The weird thing about the situation is...
Because hold on real quick. Because I've always said Zach is kind of him and Bananas, actually. I mean, but that's a totally different podcast. But yeah, they really have a thing against females. I mean, I'm not saying they're completely sexist, but they really have... Listen, I know people. We happen to know the same person. There's a certain person that we know that kind of just like, yeah,
You're talking about yourself, Vince?
Yes.
I
know how I am. But no, I'm just saying there's real people that are just like, they really don't, real men out there that really don't like taking orders from women.
Does this person's name rhyme with Schmerich?
Thank God he doesn't listen to our podcast. Hey, I remember he dismissed our Never Go Full Hodor. He's like, so it's basically you guys talking about shit that I've heard countless times? I'm like, yes. He was so unimpressed.
Well, that's his MO. That's how he is.
All right. Okay. Well, outside of that, though, there's more to get into. Right. So,
okay.
Right,
I have a few more things to wrap this up.
Yeah. This is the last time we're going to talk about it because they lose elimination.
Yeah. Okay. But what exactly did Zach do here, other than disagreeing with his partner over where they're going to vote, that was overtly sexist in any way? It was the sex of his partner Amanda did not seem to play into anything how this played out. I don't see it.
Yes, they have worked together up until this point. Up until this point, they were like, well, it was a lot of foreshadowing too, because they were like, well, I can't vote that because that's your friend. Shoot me right now. And then she's like, yeah, and I can't vote him because that's your friend. Kill me right now, slit my wrists and shit. So you just knew that eventually, when push comes to shove, I was like, God damn it, that's going to be tough. But the fact that Zach was like, I'd rather go into elimination than listen to some female, that goes back further. It's not just this season and all by itself. This season is not an island. This has been many other things with Zach and Sam in Battle of the Seasons, Zach and John A in Battle of the Exes 2. There's been, and his love of his life is Jenna, who is hot, but there's very little going upstairs. Now, if I were to...
How dare you? Jenna is a bright girl.
Let's just say... Oh, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to edit this out. But if we could compare Jenna to another really hot chick who's just like... but has nothing to offer, and Schmerich felt the same way, that's... You know what I'm saying? Like, you could tolerate that because, you look hot, but then it's like...
But there's one big difference. Is Zach has a good sense of humor, which is redeeming. Schmerich does not have the sense of humor, which is redeeming, which just makes him look like a dick. Where Zach is kind of likable, I feel like. And I feel like, ultimately, the biggest problem with their whole voting conundrum on who to vote in is we've had this the entire fucking season, but they didn't have it here, was a burn vote. They had no fucking team that they could burn vote on because Zach wanted to be with Bananas and Tony, and then there was Amanda who wanted the Lavender Ladies, and that was it. That encompassed everyone on the season. There was Devon and Jose were in Redemption House. All of those teams that they normally burn voted on the entire season were gone. So they were left with legit votes, and they didn't know how to fucking handle a legit vote. They were so used to the burn vote system. Because if you look at it, like the first 10 episodes of this season were all burn votes by every team.
It was always Jose and Devon. That's what who they would always vote for. Jose and Devon were actually still in that house. I'm just saying that because I know that because Zach and Amanda.
Why the fuck didn't they vote for them now?
Instead of going against Jose and Devon. No, I think Jose and Devon were voted in. Wait, how the fuck did that happen? No, Zach and Amanda, instead of going against choosing between Vanessa and Tony and Hunter and Ashley, they decide to go in and then they get to choose who they want to go against. They pick Jose and Devon. So Jose and Devon was still in the house. That's weird. But instead of going against them,
but for the vote, they couldn't vote for Jose and Devon. They had to vote for the top two teams that had votes towards them already, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, okay, you have to pick between these top two vote getters. And then basically they chose Jose and Devon because if they go in, they get to choose them. But then it ended up being mercenaries, and they didn't know that.
In walks in Corey and Devin. So we're kind of making some progress into this podcast because we've been talking about like 6-8 minutes about just Zach and Amanda. So Corey and Devin walk in. It's crazy. They have to go. So both of them, they have to go against both Zach and Amanda and Jose and Devon on that crazy jump on the rope, loosen the medallions thing.
Yeah.
Let me just, again, we want to speed up this process because who wants to talk about the challenge, really? But Corey and Devin beat both.
Yep.
But it's interesting to point out that the same medallion on the same rope never fell off. Remember that?
It's almost as if it was super glued on there and you could not get rid of it.
Yeah.
And production was trying to get Devin and Corey into this house.
Yeah.
And, well, the thing was, the entire premise of the way TJ describes this elimination to go down is you kind of climb out there using your feet and your hands, climb out on this rope, and then you'll shake up and down and shake these medallions loose. The teams tried that at first, and it did not work at all. And they're all just like, just jump off of the platform, yank on that rope down, and let it springboard up. And that's the best way to get these off of there, because crawling out there and shaking them does not work at all. Mm-hmm. So it was basically like the entire premise of the way they set up this elimination. All of the challengers saw around that and just threw that original premise out the window. And they were like, hey, we're going to do it this way. And it was very strange. I don't know, because I didn't feel like the game was being played the way it was intended to be played.
Yeah.
Yet it wasn't against the rules, so it was allowed to play out that way. So it was just strange and not very enjoyable to watch. As I'm watching it, I'm just rooting for Devin and Corey because I'm a fan of Devin. I think the guy's awesome. He's super entertaining. And it's weird because two teams, like if Devin and Corey go into the main house and they win, they have to beat two teams, and then those two teams both go to redemption.
Yeah.
Or, like, say Zach and Amanda win, Jose and Devon go into redemption. Does Corey and Devin, do they go to redemption, or do they just go home? I don't even know.
I thought, okay, well, now that you've mentioned it, really, I just didn't even question anything because I'm like, why question anything anymore? You know what I mean?
It's kind of hard to figure out the rules to these games.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to watch it play out and then have TJ kind of like piece together the nonsense that they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It was what it was. I don't feel like there's a whole lot to say about it other than it was kind of sketchy that the one medallion would not move at all.
And it was it was right up. That was the first medallion for both of the women, and it still never flew off. You know, I wonder if there's physics to like, well, if a medallion is closer to like string theory, get it rope. It was on a rope. And, we were just watching a video about string theory before we started recording this.
Brilliant, Vince. I love it.
It's not really brilliant at all. It's just reaction.
When I was watching it, what I thought for strategy was, okay, stop jumping and pulling on the rope. I'm like, Zach, if you want to get rid of it, jump onto that rope, and I want you to freaking crawl all the way to the other side and get right next to it, then jump up and down with your... that way you could get rid of it and get it to fall off. And I feel like if they would have done that, or if someone would have done that, it could have worked out in their favor. But
Zach suffered a nose injury. Remember that?
Yeah, he broke some bone in his nose or by his eye or something.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember the hint of it. Again, more foreshadowing. He was doing a. This is long before they were even in elimination. He was doing a confessional, and he had this light strip of makeup right here, and I'm like, why? Little did I know. And the longer the episode went on, they showed like it was a bruise. And then once they showed him actually get hurt, that's when they showed his nose like inflated and like swollen and shit. Mm-hmm. So it was a bizarre way to witness Zach's injury because that's how they get DQ'd overall.
I assume somebody punched him or something, but that didn't happen. Maybe Joss defending Amanda's honor, but no.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was just one of those tokens or whatever you want to call it. But let's not talk about Zach. He's done and gone.
We're fucking done. It's gone. Let's move on to my third bullet point: Cara and Marie, who are
next. Who cares?
Hold on. I just want to say this: they're eliminated in one episode. Go to Redemption House, and within that same episode, at the end of the episode, they win their way back into the Challenge House through a redemption elimination. It's like, and you might ask, like, oh, that's cool. So one team drew the X's and picked Cara and Marie, or Cara and Marie picked an opponent.
Because Shayna Nelson.
They beat, well, no, they called in Shayna Nelson to go into elimination at first. Yeah. And that's when Nelson's like, are you kidding me? I'm 8-1. Real quick, when he said that, I was like, no. And I went back, I'm like, he's actually, in terms of UFC terms, he's 7-1-1. 1-7, 1 loss, and 1 draw with Darrell.
Yeah.
But it's way cooler to say, like, I'm 8-1, bitch, than to be like, I'm 7-1-1. You know what I mean?
You know what? The one that he lost to Darrell, I don't know. They cut it too short, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I thought it was great by Cara and Marie to pick Shayna Nelson because it was a huge rival for them. Plus, it was probably the toughest test for them. And I love Shayna Nelson this year. They're probably one of the better teams, like a real surprise team that has gotten a lot further than I thought they would have in the game. They're super entertaining. I like both Shayna and Nelson.
Oh, yeah.
And it was great. And we see Cara and Marie, they get sent home. They could not punch their way and kick their way through the walls to find the keys. And I mean, it was a fairly basic elimination. There's nothing too special about it. Shayna Nelson won it.
Yeah. I was very happy. But again, I don't like eliminations at the beginning of my episodes anyway. You know what I mean? But then later on, they go into Redemption House, and then producers like, holy shit, Bananas and Tony have even less help. Cara Maria, who is, would you say she's one of the top stars, right? One of the top females.
Yeah, she's like the female Johnny Bananas.
Yeah.
You know, a veteran female who's
safe to say
won multiple challenges.
That wouldn't offend Cara Maria. She'd be like, thank you.
Idiots.
God. God.
Oh, she never says that.
But, so she's in Redemption House. Producers are like, holy shit, you can't be here. This is so low class. They're looking around. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
They're like, Bananas is back in the main house.
Yeah.
Bananas, he just lost Zach and Amanda, who were his broskies. Josie and Devon, who would vote with them.
Yeah.
Now Cara and Marie, who would also vote for them. Like, Johnny Bananas has no alliance members left. It's just him versus the Wolves.
Yeah.
And they don't want to feed him to the Wolves. So they're like, hey, we're going to do Redemption House. You're going to come back. And 2 teams are coming back. Not just one. We're going to have 2 teams come back. Yeah. Just to sweeten the pot a little bit. Try and get somebody who's going to be on Banana's side.
Yeah.
It's going to help with that vote process.
Yeah. The established thing, the concept was the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You would draw an X, and then 2 people would choose 2 other people to go against them, and that's the 4 horsemen.
Because 2 + 2 = 4.
Yes.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
How did MTV fuck that up? Because the 4 horsemen ended up being 2 + 2 + 2 + 2, which I'm pretty sure equals 8.
What was it? Who drew it? I don't remember. Does it
I think
matter?
it was Cam and Kaylee. And then, I think it was Kyle and Brad, wasn't
Kyle
it?
and Brad, yeah.
Kyle and Brad and Cam and Kaylee.
Cam
and Kaylee, they had this whole thing where Cam thinks that she can outsmart every vote. But what Cam doesn't realize is, in order to outsmart these votes, you have to convince people to vote with you. Which she didn't seem to realize that, because she's like, we're going to get Kyle and Brad to vote for Cara and Marie.
Yeah.
She's like, and we're going to vote for, what was it? I don't even remember who she was.
I don't remember. I know that, I don't remember. I do remember Cara Maria kind of doing an Inception, if you will. You've never seen that movie, so you don't know the fuck I'm talking about.
That's all that matters. It's still in the shrink wrap, like 4 years later on my shelf. I'll get to it.
But Cara Maria says, we're the only female teams.
Yeah. Cara Maria was super sexist and only wanted girl teams in there. If guys were like, we only want dude teams in the final, it'd be frowned upon.
Yeah,
but
man.
because they're girls, I guess it's allowed. And as a guy, I don't care. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. But they're like, she's like, hey, Cam and Kaylee, we both need to get back into the house. I want to vote with you, And it kind of seemed to be a thing where it was like, she's like, screw Kyle and Brad. Kyle's fucked me over a lot. It's taken me a very, very long time, but I'm starting to realize that, and I want to kind of screw him over again. So Cara was with Cam and Kaylee, and Cam and Kaylee were like, well, hey, we want girl-girl teams to be in the final, but rather than just picking Cara Marie and Marie, that would mean that we'd have to face them. So we need to pick a different team, then have Kyle and Brad pick Cara and Maria, so that way we have a chance to get both girl-girl teams back in the house. Which did not work out, because they told Brad and Kyle and Brad found out about this plan, and they're like, well, we're not going to just pick a team because you wanted us to pick that team. That doesn't make sense. Like, we don't like you. We're not friends with you. Why would we just go along with your plan?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to pick Cara and Marie. And, Kyle knows about this weird plan, and he kind of jokes, totally going to pick you. Like, totally, for sure. And they're like, Cara is like, oh, I'm so offended. Like, I know he wasn't going to pick me. I was like, well, no shit. He was laughing when he said it, and he was being sarcastic. Like, we all knew that he wasn't going to pick you because of what Cam kind of laid out in her plan.
So, I guess we'll cover it real quick. Cara Marie versus Cam and Kaylee, and they win. And then Paulie and Natalie are picked by Kyle and Brad.
Yeah.
And they win. That was a surprise, right?
That was the upset special that we didn't see coming.
I also didn't mention the fact that Brad and Kyle are in redemption to begin with, because they were eliminated by Nelson and Shane. But again, this is what happens when I bypass episodes upon episodes of information where I'm like, well, what's really important? Because eliminations by themselves don't mean too much when...
If you go to redemption and you're not officially gone, so it's just like... Even like Brittany and Chuck, like, they get eliminated, but then they stuck around to like episode 7 before they were actually gone.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, they're gone, but they're not really gone. Same with Kyle and Brad. Like, even though now they're still in Redemption House, so they could still come back before the final. So who the fuck knows?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it shouldn't be called elimination at all. Maybe it should be called like U-Haul Arena or something. You know what I mean? Like, you got to move. You got to move residents.
Or like
I don't know. It's just like, don't call it elimination because it's not an elimination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big problem with the season is the Elimination House. Because we're on episode 16. We're not even close to the final. We're gonna go to like episode 20. So maybe, just maybe, if you want to tighten things up, get rid of the Elimination House and actually make eliminations matter. Because if the eliminations don't matter, that means the episodes don't matter. And if the episodes don't really matter, what the fuck is the incentive to tune into these episodes where you're like, hey, Cara and Marie just got sent home because they lost to Shannon Nelson. Oh, wait. Now they're back because they just beat Cam and Kaylee. And it's like one episode, and it kind of... them unintentionally showing that it doesn't really matter. The same with like Jose and Devon getting sent in only to come back a couple episodes later, and then they get sent in and then almost come back a couple episodes later. It's like Jose and Devon were like voted on and voted against since episode 1.
Yeah.
They were always targeted, and they had gotten eliminated. But then they still stuck around to frickin' episode 15 or 16?
Yep, 15, yeah.
It's like, how are they still around? And I love Jose and Devon. They're two of my favorite members from this season.
They grew on me, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I totally love the both of them. But to the rules of the game, they should have been gone a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. You know what? maybe the challenge is appealing to people that don't feel like they're obligated to a weekly podcast where they have to like, analyze everything and shit and like cipher out like what is important, what moves the story along. Maybe people only tune in for when all the challengers go to a bar, have drinks, order food, fettuccine alfredo.
Pasta?
Fettuccine
I
alfredo.
love pasta.
I love fettuccine alfredo.
Does Corey love pasta?
Yes, I believe he does.
Does Tony like pasta?
No.
No, Tony does not like pasta. How can someone not like pasta?
I just want to point this out. Remember, Tony says it goes by really quick. People focus on the fact that he threw the pasta out. He did say, what are you going to do when a guy comes up to you and says, hey, this pasta was sat on? He's like, I'm going to throw that shit out the window. We don't need that anymore, basically. And then, remember, I'm fast forwarding again. When Corey is told that he has to leave, the two of them, him and Tony, are like, hey man, I don't hate you like that. There's no fucking beef here. This was a drunken thing. They didn't say that, but they both were drunk. Corey and Tony are fucking fuck-ups when they're drunk. We know that. We've seen them plenty of times, right? Yeah. So, I feel like too much emphasis was like, it's about fucking pasta. Well, Corey basically, I think someone just accidentally sat on his pasta. And he's like, dude, what the someone sat on this. Tony threw it out. Like, well, you're not going to eat it. You know what I mean? You're not going to fucking eat it. But they're both drunk. They're both fucking idiots when they drink. And they both... like they're serial fucking impregnators. You know what I mean? Like these two are gonna clash.
Right? Exactly.
So,
and
but
you gotta remember when you're in this house on MTV in the middle of South Africa, wherever the hell they are.
Yeah.
You are eating their catered food that they bring there to the house, and it's probably really shitty food. So while they go out to the bars or whatever, that's also an opportunity for them to order a little bit of takeout and get a styrofoam container of some fucking pasta or something that they can reheat the next day and eat some good food. So that shit is like gold.
Yeah.
That is like gold.
That's like cigarettes in jail.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Cigarettes in jail. I can't even come up with something that equates to that because it's such a perfect analogy. And Tony threw those cigarettes out of that fucking...
Even though someone sat on those cigarettes. Now,
it doesn't matter.
You compare cigarettes to pasta.
Whatever. Who cares? It's just going to be on someone's pants. If someone sits on it...
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so like think of foods that if you sit on it, it is ruined. Maybe some kind of pie where it's squished. Pasta, it's already mush, so it doesn't really matter if it's squished.
Right.
Like what exactly...
Right. Yeah.
And if you're reheating leftovers... Like, you can basically squish any leftovers and it won't matter. Mm-hmm. Like, you're only hurting, like, the cosmetic aspect of that food.
Yeah.
Pasta, like once you put that in the microwave, it's good. And
Right.
Tony threw that shit on the ground. He threw it out the window. How dare Tony do that? And we all know Tony has a history of getting drunk and being an asshole. And he's toned it back, but not completely.
He's
Not
barely
completely.
drank. Like, this is the first time in a while. Now, what sucked, though, is because I think it was Corey and Devin's trying to calm him down. He's like, we're getting off the bus, and he's like, relax, dude. This isn't anything, whatever. You know what I mean?
Corey's pissed. He's like, that's my lunch tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. And he got rid of it.
And Tony lit up, walks up, throws his arm around Corey, and
All
says,
buddy.
"Are we gonna fight?" That's what he says. He's like, "Are we gonna fight now?" That's him saying, like, "Are we gonna fight?" He means like, "No, dude, we're buds. We're not gonna fight." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But Corey's worked up. Like, yeah, it's
Now is not the time.
yeah. But to Tony, it's like, no, this is the perfect time. I'm gonna diffuse the situation with humor. I get the same way. I've definitely made jokes when it was like, no, it's not appropriate. You know what I mean? Like, it was
Too soon.
yeah, it's too soon. And then that's when Corey, his inner Ronda Rousey kicks in and does a judo trip, judo throw. Is
Yeah,
it a throw trip?
I feel like
or
it's
is it the same thing? It's the same thing, right?
basically the same thing.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
put his back left leg behind Tony, and he pushed on his shoulders and threw him backwards.
Yeah.
And kind of threw him down to the ground.
Yeah, and Devin defended what from his point of view. He was like, "No,
They
that was
slipped
a
on the
slip.
pavement.
That was
A simple slip.
but that was authentic. Like at first, I was like, "No, you can't do this. You're basically doing what maybe Johnny would have done to defend Tony had it the roles been reversed." But then when producers like, "Hey, check out the video," he looks at it and he shakes his head. He's like, "No, that was no slip. That wasn't a slip." You know. But like that's the authenticity of what Devin brings to the show. Where it's like
Yeah,
that's a
but-
real dude right
And
there.
Devin even said it. He's like, I don't feel like there was anything malicious behind it. I don't feel like he was trying to hurt him. I feel like he was just trying to get him off of him. And I kind of agree with that. That Corey wasn't trying to hurt Tony, but he was trying to get him off of him. He was just like, dude, because Tony comes up, and keep in mind that Corey is probably 5'9". Tony is probably 6'2", 6'3".
6'2".
He's got 4 or 5 inches on him, and Tony is a big dude. He comes and puts his arm over Corey, and Corey's like, "What the fuck? Get off of me!" And he does what he can to get him off. He throws his leg out and trips him and like throws him down. And was that dangerous? Absolutely, because you could hit your head on the pavement and you could crack your head open. Like, yeah, that was super dangerous. Shouldn't have done it. But at the same time, in that situation, I can't say that I wouldn't have done the same. Where it's just like, dude, get off of me. Like, go the fuck away. Because you're pissed off. And that's something, like, you need to realize if you're angry at someone, you can't try and remedy that in 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later. That's one of those things where it's just like, just wait until the next morning. Then we'll talk it out. We'll get over it.
The way Tony threw his arm around him and he was almost laughing, like, "Dude, are we gonna fight?" You know, he was joking, right? I recall, oh God, what season was it? Gauntlet 2, where Landon and Derek were wrestling each other. It might even have been Inferno 2, where they were wrestling each other and they were on the pavement. And they just got back from the bar. Do you remember that shit?
No.
They were,
I
okay,
wish
well,
I did. This sounds amazing.
just recall this. They wrestle each other, and then Landon wins. He passes out. Derek takes the shavers and shaves.
Oh,
remember? He shaved his
yes.
head.
I
And then
remember
Landon,
now.
instead of getting pissed off, he was like, "I'm just going to keep it like this. This is a cool haircut." Remember?
Landon's like, I'm handsome as fuck. A mohawk? I will rock this, and I will get even more chicks
it was
now.
it wasn't even a mohawk. It was a reverse mohawk. This was shaved. There was hair here, and this was shaved. It was like a negative mohawk. Yeah.
It was a weird.
It was bizarre.
It was
but
great,
like
though.
that's just. I just want to say, remember back they were wrestling. They were taking each other down and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
They weren't kicked out for that. I'm not saying like that's the same thing because, those two were truly pissed. More pissed than Derek and Lana. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying like there's definitely it's a different world. It's a different time.
Yeah. We're a lot more strict now.
Yeah.
Can we halftime this?
Oh my god. We'll halftime this right now. All right. So, fifth, second to last bullet point is Bananas and Devin. And the extreme low that... sorry.
Wow. Man,
Wow.
Crap all over that point.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like I can't even utter how low this show dips into and how little justice we are witness to afterwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The guy that was attacked so viciously and so low, like such a low blow, he has to leave. Outside of anything what he could have, done. Like, we even see the video proving that Corey it was not a slip. He did do the judo throw and shit. And Devin's like, wow, that's, you know what I mean?
Devin,
like,
yes.
yeah, it's, that was no slip. I'm out of here or whatever. But all the other things, fucking bananas, what he says. But do we start from the beginning? It starts off with, Bananas is trying to stoke the fires once Tony was thrown to the ground by Corey.
Yeah, Bananas runs out there. Production kind of takes a hold of, Bananas takes Tony and is like, hey, let's go to the interview room where we do the one-on-ones. He wanted to pull Tony out of the situation because when Tony is drunk, does a lot of stupid shit, and he didn't want him to do anything crazy.
Oh yeah, this is the green screen.
Yeah, pulled him to the green screen room. They chatted in there, and Tony understood what was going on. He's like, "Don't worry, Bananas, I'm not going to do anything crazy," and blah blah blah. And then the producers offered Tony a ride to a hotel so he could just sleep there for the night and just not get into any more shenanigans. Mm. So Tony leaves. Then you just have Bananas there. And
in a dark room.
Yep.
Talking to people, talking shit, right? Nelson's outside of that room. And he's like, are you for real, man? He's just heard enough. He walks into the room, the lights turn on and shit. It was really bizarre. Like, is it motion sensor? Like, why are the lights thrown on all of a sudden? You know what I mean?
Well, the cameraman, they flick him on
yeah,
as they
Nelson
walk in.
didn't do it. Nelson just walked in there, So, I don't even know what was being said. But immediately Nelson was like, should I get Devin down here? Devin! You know what I mean? It's like he's calling his mom or something like that. You know what I mean? He just knows that
this his dog on
this
him,
is the proper person to be brought down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even Devin says it out loud. He comes down and he's like, oh, you don't want to talk to me because I will articulate what needs to be said and shit like that. That's why you refuse to talk now, Like, you're always stoking the fires and you're willing to talk shit. But once I'm here... He leaves the room. He closed the door. He has nothing to say to Devin because he doesn't know what to say to Devin. That's the craziest thing. So
he tried it last year, getting the verbal arguments with Devin, and he knew he could not win those verbal jousting matches. So Bananas has learned, and he's just like, I'm just gonna walk away. Yeah. And Bananas walked outside on the porch. And then he walked back in, and then he went and he was like with some producer named Alyssa, and they like walked upstairs trying to get away, and then like he was trying to walk across it was like almost like a bridge or something.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That went to like these little houses that were right on the beach.
Yeah.
And like it's just Bananas trying to escape.
The whole time Devin is right behind him. Saying like,
talking
why can't you talk to me? Like, well, he was also saying like, where are you going? You think that I am not worthy of your time, or maybe I am, and you'll rip into me, but you're not saying anything. Mm-hmm. Why can't you say anything?
And as he's walking across that little bridge, he's like, I've beaten you in missions. Yeah. I've beaten you in eliminations. I have beaten you at everything.
Except for a final. He should have said that. He's like, oh, well, I mean, that would have thrown off his, his flow. That would have killed the mood a smidge.
But Bananas has never beaten him in a... shit.
Rivals 3.
Yeah, I guess. Sarah technically beat him. And then Bananas just took the scraps.
Oh my god.
I mean, you can't really say that Bananas won that from Devin. It was really Sarah because Sarah did everything in that final to win it.
Well, that's fine.
I'm not giving Bananas credit.
It's still Devin's moral victories overcome Bananas. It's like 30 to 1.
What Devin did to Bananas on Vendettas to call him out, send him in, and then personally send him home.
Yeah.
To kind of squash all of that shit talking that Bananas was doing last season. And now Devin is back, and he's giving more shit talk to Bananas. And Bananas has no reply, other than to just run away.
Devin follows him to the ends of the quote-unquote earth, because I don't think they could go beyond that at that point. That is as far as they can get away from the house, the challenge house, because there's really strict rules nowadays. Like, they get fined sometimes leaving the premises. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, it's
what does
weird.
Bananas say next, Vince?
He says, you know who I really feel sorry for? Your dad. Because had he been alive, he would not approve or something like that. Is that what he said? Or something similar? Once he mentioned the dad, I saw it coming before he even said it. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, don't do it. And then he said, he didn't even say the dad yet. And I knew what he was doing, and I just went blurry with anger and disappointment.
And he also said something like, it's a shame. It's a shame that you're even here because your dad is gone. And but your dad is gone, but you're here when you should be at home mourning him. You decided to come here. And to Bananas, he's thinking like, you know what? Fuck you, Devin. You should be at home mourning your dead father rather than being here and being a thorn in my ass. Which is what Bananas is feeling right now. Bananas wants Devin gone because Devin sent him home last season. And now he's back, and he is the one guy who is the biggest threat to him right now. So Bananas wants him gone, and he's just like, you know what? Your dad is dead. Like, you were supposed to not be here. I was supposed to be rid of you.
They were going to be partners originally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's why we ended up with an episode and a half of Bananas not having a partner. And then suddenly it being Tony, who was actually flown in on late notice. I think they sweetened the pot with his contract, offering a little extra dough. Because Tony had just won with CT on Champs vs. Pros, or Stars, whatever they call that show. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Bananas said some shitty stuff to Devin about, bringing up his dead dad. There's nothing really defensible about what Bananas said. It's like, you don't go there. If you want to talk shit about Devin, but the thing is Bananas at no point during this did Bananas ever talk shit to Devin, say really anything. He just kept walking away. And then the one thing he said was super fucking offensive.
Yeah.
Which was like, dude, it was not like it built up like he was saying other shit and then got offensive. It was just like, bite your tongue. Say something super fucking mean.
Yeah. And what does he say? He's like, I know he eventually does apologize via confessional. He's like, I didn't mean to truly offend. I didn't mean to whatever. And you're
because we saw them the next morning. Bullshit. We saw Devin go up to Bananas the next morning, and Devin's like, fuck you, Johnny Bananas. Don't you sleep? You're not allowed to fucking sleep when you say shit like that to me. Yeah. He's like, fuck you. Devin's like trying to say something mean to Johnny Bananas, and he can't. He's just caught on his own throat, and he can't even fucking utter a word because he's so fucking upset. And Joss comes up behind him and kind of hugs him and fucking pats him as Devin is going into tears. And Josh says, like, I understand where Devin's coming from. Like, I've also lost my dad, and it's something that you can't really, describe to anyone or make them understand if they haven't been through it. And Devin kind of breaks down, and then they cut into Bananas, like, saying this apology to the camera. Like, maybe I said stuff I shouldn't have said, blah, blah, blah.
I may have possibly crossed the line.
Yeah.
I asked you this before we recorded. What was the meanest thing anyone's ever said during trash talking during this challenge?
This season?
Ever. Because, well, Bananas, in terms of the season, I would say Bananas talking about bringing up Devin's dad is way worse than Amanda saying, I hope you fucking, hey, Cara Maria, I hope your fucking horse is glue, motherfucker. You might as well call him Elmhurst glue. Well, what is it?
Elmer's
glue. Yeah. Elmer. It's Elmer's.
I can't think of something off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's super mean shit.
It's cold. It is fucking one of the worst things.
There is shit that, like, I feel like Kenny or CT might have said in the past, or Evan.
All right.
Those three guys. I feel like one of those three guys must have said some really inflammatory shit.
Let's jump to, well, this is who I pictured first. One of the worst things in terms of, like, oh my God, you could see him breaking before our very eyes. Laurel versus Big Easy. Remember that?
Yes, that's probably number one.
You're like,
it was super
you're fat
personal.
as fuck. You can't get laid. You got a little dick or something like that. You know what I mean?
That was so fucking personal. And as you're watching it, you can, like, you knew that season, like, who Big Easy was as a person, and you knew who Laura was as a person. And as that confrontation happened, it was a very slow build. It wasn't out of nowhere. You saw how it started and what happened and how it finished, and it was completely out of line the entire time. That was probably the most offensive thing.
But, like, think about any other shit. I mean, in terms of, like, like, I compared him to Conor McGregor talking shit.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's kind of Conor McGregor, like.
Those who don't know MMA, basically UFC, there's a guy who's like the producers / promotion, the president of UFC kisses Conor McGregor's ass and lets him slip with all these violations of rules and laws and shit. You know what I mean? Even if he's slapped with a fine, he's still able to, like, headline pay-per-views and shit like that.
You're able to throw a dolly through a glass window of a bus and then just headline a pay-per-view? Like,
injure other fighters, take away their livelihood for that,
yeah.
How many months there were, cause the current strawweight champion psychological harm. Rose, I know you don't like Rose right now.
I do like Rose. But she needs to defend their title, though.
But she was just like, oh my God, like that moment when Conor was like it was unreal, and I still think about it and shit like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I'm saying is the UFC looks the other way a lot for Conor McGregor.
Just like the challenge kind of does for Bananas.
Yes.
And they kind of work for Bananas in ways where, with the elimination, or the what is it called? The Redemption House, they're able to bring back two different teams, so that way Bananas he's able to get Cara and Marie and Natalie and Paulie back on their side, so that way to even the votes in the house, because Bananas was so outnumbered. And after this scuffle, well, like, basically the next point is that Corey and Devin, they end up getting eliminated because of what Corey did to Tony.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. I can't really argue it, though. I mean, what Corey did was wrong.
Yeah.
He put his leg behind Tony. He threw him down. I agree with Devin where I don't think it was malicious. I don't think he was trying to hurt him. He was just trying to kind of get him off of him. But the physical act that he did of kind of sweeping his legs out and throwing his back to the pavement, you can easily hit your head on the pavement and be seriously injured. The way he went about it was wrong. What he did was wrong. Corey was he was out of line. He shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Effective move? Yes.
Yes. It was definitely an effective move.
Yes.
Yeah. It was great technique. Yeah. I love the technique. Oh, yeah. That's the only redeeming factor is as a UFC fan, you're like, damn, that's some good judo. That's a good judo throw.
Is Corey the Ronda Rousey of the challenge?
I have not seen his armbar technique, but he might be there. He might be right there. Yeah. He might be the Cat Zingano right now.
Yeah.
He's just about to make it.
So it's an awful sinking feeling when Corey and Devin are... Okay, so now, damn it, I had this shit written down, and I was going to show you this.
Oh, the trivia? We're talking about trivia?
No. I was... Okay. Well, we were watching the 16th episode, and I was jotting down notes.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized that both Corey and Tony entered the house, we were both like, well, that doesn't mean anything. TJ's going to say something, right?
Yeah.
In walks TJ, and they're coming up.
Yep.
And I'm like,
I knew he was gone.
This is what I did. I don't know if it's written anywhere. God damn it. I hope I could find it. But I wrote down something to the equivalent of, fuck, it's not here. God damn it. Where is it?
It has to be in there.
I don't know where else.
It's your only notebook.
Where else it could be. Oh my god.
It has to be in that notebook.
Yeah? Okay, well, anyways, I basically said, I wrote down really quick, Corey and Tony get DQ'd for the fight. Devin and Bananas are now partners. I honestly thought for a second, I'm like, like, it would be fucked up because Bananas says horrible shit to Devin. You know what I mean?
Oh my god.
But imagine
my
that.
My mind is blown.
Imagine
Vince,
that.
my mind is blown. There is
me...
no reason to DQ Tony over this. However, in this universe, I would love it because if Devin and Bananas were partners, that's what this season needed. That's what it should have been from the get-go.
Yeah.
Was Bananas and Devin because those two guys hate each other more than anything.
Yes.
And that's what Vendettas was about. That's what the final reckoning that we're watching now is about, is people that hate each other more than... This is bigger than rivals. We've had rivals in the past. Holy shit.
Producers could have...
Devin and Bananas as partners would have been the greatest thing ever. I think they missed the fucking boat here.
They did.
They should have been like, hey... You throw pasta out the fucking bus window, you're eliminated. You know what? They fucked it up because, you know what? They let Tony go back to the hotel. They let Tony go back to the hotel. They let him cool down. If they would have left him there, just let him fight Corey and just be like, yo, duke it out right now. Corey and Tony go home. You get Devin and Bananas. That would be fucking phenomenal television.
We've seen challengers go to a hotel and then not come back. You know, TJ unceremoniously says, hey, you know what? They're gone. That's all. You know what I mean? He could have said, Tony's gone, Corey's gone, Devin, Bananas, you are together. You know what I mean? Like they honestly, that was one of the greatest / darkest / confusing moments that could have ever happened. You know what I mean?
You totally ruined the rest of the season for me because this would have been the greatest thing ever.
I haven't. The producers have. But
you brought it to light.
Realize that.
You used your brains to bring it to light.
Anyways, let's get off of all that and let's get on to the mission of episode 16, which was trivia.
Yeah.
You like the trivia episodes?
Not as much as TJ, who's still laughing hysterically at people falling in the water. Oh my god. Like, I like trivia plenty, but TJ, after in the beginning of it, you don't notice it, but 5 minutes in, anytime someone goes in the water, TJ is just overacting so much and freaking out. Anytime somebody hits the water, you're like, whoa,
yeah,
fuck off, dude.
It's borderline psychotic.
It was weird because I'm a TJ defender. I like TJ. Vince, you kind of hate TJ. I like him. He's fine, but at certain points, he does weird shit that's just annoying. He was kind of annoying in this.
Well, you know what? This goes back to ego. You know, you could throw that about Bananas, and you could throw that in around other challengers and stuff. But One of the main things about TJ is like he doesn't deserve the spotlight, the ego that comes with like, oh my god, I've done this forever. So this is my thing. Whenever I host trivia, people fall into water typically, and I laugh. Yeah. That's what would just happen organically. Now he says, he even asked everybody before he even started. He's like, all right, so it's my favorite time of the season. What is it? And like a rock star, like I'm not gonna sing my favorite verse, everyone's favorite verse. I'm gonna throw the speaker out to the audience and have them sing that verse for me, thus making me save, lung capacity and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The ego of TJ
He's
saying like,
say it for me, say it. I want to hear it. Trivia? Yeah. I want to hear trivia.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas like the ego of TJ, I'm like, oh god, gotta love that TJ for just consistently proving my point just for myself. You know what I mean? Like I've lived with the fact that a lot of people are never gonna see it my way, but I'm always like, no, I don't like bananas, I don't like this guy, I don't like that guy. And they consistently come up with these terrible episodes. They'll look very clean throughout the seasons. They'll perform greatly. But they'll always have an episode where you're like, oh, you fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
I think I like TJ a lot. I'm a huge defender of TJ. But there are certain points in every season. There's 20 episodes per season, apparently now.
Yeah.
Out of those 20, 4 or 5 of them, he'll do shit that the producers tell him to do. And he will do it unequivocally with no shits given, and he kind of looks a little stupid doing them. And that's what like TJ was doing for this trivia. And I don't know, I feel like 95% of the people who would watch this challenge would not even notice like how dumb TJ seemed in this.
That's true.
But for like people like us, we've watched 95% for me, 100% for you. All 33 seasons of the challenge.
Yeah.
You kind of get annoyed where you're like, well, the host should not be acting in this manner. This is not proper. Please show some respect for the sport that is the challenge.
Okay, so basically, if you're a stand-up comedian and you get a girlfriend who meets you through being a stand-up comedian, she's like, oh my god, you were so hilarious, we're dating now, and now we're going to go on tour with each other, I'm going to go with you. And then 2 to 3 weeks into it, she's like, oh, so you say the same jokes every night to everybody? You know what I mean?
Yes. Suddenly Bananas is single. Suddenly TJ, not so funny.
She's like,
just reading lines that someone else gave you.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't realize that you were funny, but like, this was pre-planned. You've said this shit to other people before. You know what I mean? Like, you just, like, it just changes the way that you look at someone. So when you realize that TJ once had a great episode of the Spelling Bee, and then he had a good episode of, I want to say, Free Agents, where he had very authentic like laughs. Like he really thought this was funny. He couldn't believe people were this stupid and they fell and they hurt themselves. He still thought he was just on cloud 9, So now every single time it's the part of every fucking season, and he wants to throw out that laugh again. But now this episode in particular, it's like every single other forced? Question, and yes,
does it seem to overpower the actual events that are happening in the episode? Exactly.
All right, so let's just finish off with the winners, Polly and Natalie. We can't say nowhere because how long were they in there?
I mean,
I don't remember.
How long were they in there?
No, like how long were they in the actual challenge house? Not too far. I remember Bananas wanted to hook up with Natalie, and she's like, no, we're not like that, and shit. And then Cara wanted Polly to pull a dick. Oh my god, I'm bringing it back. How long has it been?
I feel like it was like episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like, it was very soon in the season that Natalie and Paulie were kicked out.
I believe Paulie said it was like a month and a half since I sat on stood on these squares or whatever. A month and a half, he said.
That's one of the very few times where they've broken kayfabe with the acknowledgement of actual time based off of what you're seeing in the house and what you're seeing on the show, because the way they do things, like, it's kind of like week to week, and it's like, no, you guys film like 3 or 4 weeks in 1 week and you stretch it out. But when Paulie said, like, oh, we've been gone for a month and a half, it's like, yeah, it was a month and a half for you, but it's been like 3 months for us.
Yeah.
The people who are actually watching the show. So it was kind of funny. And Natalie and Paulie win, and it was, they kind of took turns because there was 6 teams. You have Joss and Sylvia, Team Lavender Ladies. Hunter and Ashley, Team Lavender Ladies. Shane and Nelson, Team Lavender Ladies. You have Bananas and Tony. You have Cara and Marie. And you have Paulie and Natalie. Mm-hmm. And those last 3 teams are all together. So basically you end up with everyone kind of votes everyone in. First it was like First it was like Joss and Sylvia getting votes, and they got voted in. And then it was like votes towards Hunter and Ashley, and then Bananas and Tony. Bananas randomly falls off and just lands in the water. And it was weird, and it came out of nowhere. It was like, how did you fall off?
When the first person was knocked over, which was Justin Sylvia, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that giant sledgehammer knocks those people off the ground, right? Remember, Joss weighs a lot, right? So that actually shook the entire, not device,
platform?
the entire platform.
Really?
And that's when Tony shook, and he accidentally fell forward, but pushed his butt back. That launched Johnny forward, and he fell.
See, from my vantage point, it looked like Tony just pushed him bananas with his right hand.
Maybe he tried to grab his shorts like Conor grabbed Khabib's shorts. And...
Yes, exactly. He's trying to hold the cage.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, right?
Exactly, yeah. According to Johnny Bananas. But so Bananas falls in, but then it doesn't even matter because whoever answers the question next, they've casted their vote at Tony. Tony had to jump in. He was done with. At the end, it kind of came down to like 3 different teams. There was Shane and Nelson. There was Cara and Marie. And there was Natalie and Paulie. Yep. And Nelson could not remember the name of the... like, when you go into elimination, what is the name of the place that you go to? And
was it like Vendettas?
Is it... Yeah, on Vendettas.
Yeah.
And Shane was not there on that season.
Shane is like, you were there 3 fucking times or something like that, right?
Yeah, Nelson had gone in there 3 times on that season and defended himself and won, presumably. I'd have to look at the elimination.
Well, no, he had 2 wins and 1 tie.
Oh, against Darrell. Yeah.
But it
and
was
they
still
asked
a win.
him, like, what was it called? Was it the Pit?
I didn't know this.
Because every year it's something fucking random.
And it's lame usually.
It's completely forgettable.
For rivals, you remember it's the jungle. You know what I mean? For for certain things like the Gauntlet, it's the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
The Inferno, it's the Inferno.
That's why I like Inferno and Gauntlet, because the name of the season was the name of the place that you went into for elimination.
Yeah.
But then they're just like, hey, you're going into the Pit. And they did that. I don't remember.
They did it twice for 2 different seasons.
What the fuck season was that? Was that Rivals 3 or it was
Bloodlines and something else? Yeah,
it was like the Pit. It was the dumbest name ever.
You've called it the Pit before, you stupid sons of bitches. Like, god damn.
So this one was the Presidio.
Yeah,
which is a word apparently.
And it's not like
have you ever heard the word Presidio outside of the universe of the challenge? Because I have not.
But even within the universe of that challenge, it's not like everyone was like, oh my god, I'm going to get sent into the Presidio. No, they always said, I'm getting sent into elimination.
Yeah.
They didn't
Just
say
call it
Presidio.
elimination. Exactly.
People like the Ruins. The Ruins.
The
That was
Ruins.
called the Ruins. They're like, we're gonna
Yeah.
send you into the Ruins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was catchy. It was fun to say. But Presidio, you know, we're American. We're a bunch of fucking assholes. We want things to be like cut and clean and to
I
the
don't know
point.
what Presidio means.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't. Like,
Yeah.
I want to Google it, but at the same time, out of protest, I don't want to Google it. I just want to not know and be like, fuck you, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So Nelson and Shane, like, Nelson doesn't know the answer to it, which I can't even really be upset
Even if
at
he
him.
did,
Shane was
how
upset,
could he spell
but-
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
That was
did
tough.
he have to spell it?
Oh.
I don't know.
I'm just
I don't
throwing
think he
more
had
things
to.
at him.
But they couldn't get it right, so they go in, and then it was Cara Maria versus Polly and what's that
Natalie.
girl's name? Natalie. Yeah.
I just call her Bloody Chin
And
this
it-
episode.
And Cara and Marie already had 2 votes on them already, so Natalie and Polly just had to get one question right, which sent them in. Natalie and Polly win.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the power vote. This is basically the end of the episode. Natalie and Polly have the power vote, and it's like, what's going to happen from here on out? Because it's basically the way with the Redemption House and who came back with Cara and Marie and Natalie and Polly, along with Bananas and Tony. That's a squad of 3. That's an alliance of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also have Joss and Sylvia. You have Shane and Nelson. Then you have Hunter and Ashley with the
Lavender Ladies.
Yeah, the Lavender Ladies, which is an alliance of 3. So it's 3 versus 3. Natalie and Polly will have a double vote because they won.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to watch the next episode. We can see the future. Whatever Bananas tells them to vote, they will vote. Whatever Bananas says, they will vote for this next one and give the double vote to that team. So basically, it will be, I don't know if it'll be Joss and Sylvia, Hunter and Ashley, or what's the other team? Shannon Nelson. One of those 3 teams will go into elimination, and then basically they will get to choose between Cara Maria and Marie and Bananas and Tony. Because Bananas and Tony don't have the power vote. They are not exempt from the elimination. Polly and Natalie are. So it's going to be Cara Maria or Johnny and Tony versus whatever team gets voted in. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because whatever team... So Bananas and Tony are going to have to vote in a team that they think that they can beat.
Hunter doesn't like Bananas. He won't mind going against them.
He won't give a shit.
Shane and Nelson, they won't mind. They won against Brad and Kyle. Who's the last one?
Joss
Joss
and
and
Sylvia.
Sylvia. Joss doesn't like Bananas.
Exactly.
He finally fucking stood up and said something for a second until Sylvia was like, Joss.
Well,
And he's like, oh. It was
the
crazy.
thing, the thing was there is that Joss, he had said previously that like he had lost his dad, and Devin had lost his dad, so he was super pissed off about that. And then when Corey said to Bananas, as Corey was being kicked off the show, dude, after I heard what you said to, whatever you said to him last night.
Yeah, we're not cool, Devin.
Like, whatever you said to Devin last night, we're not cool, I don't want to talk to you. Bananas just starts laughing and chuckling and turning away. And Joss was like, how are you laughing at that? You're laughing at what you said? Like, what you said was awful.
After
Fuck
he
you.
gave that, apology in the confessional, like,
Yeah.
I never meant to disrespect Devin, and you know what I mean? I'm like, fake.
It was so half-hearted and so... It was so weird the way they planted that into the episode and they just threw it out there because it didn't seem genuine and it didn't seem like that it went with the flow of the episode at all.
All right. So with us being like, God damn it, Bananas. Let's talk about the next season real quick, in where we've heard that producers has actually altered the structure, the rules, the theme of a season because Bananas said it wouldn't be fair. People can gang up on me now.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Apparently, for the next season of the next season of the challenge, Bananas. They were like the producers came up with a plot or like kind of a scheme or whatever it is for their plan for the next season, and they're like, hey, it's gonna be the newbies, all the the new school people versus the old school. Bananas, you'll be on one side, and the other, the newbies will be on the new school. It's kind of the young bucks versus the old school guys.
Yeah.
Bananas did not like that idea because he's like, that's what this last season was. Bananas has felt like he's had a target on his back the entire time. Because honestly, the numbers in the game do outnumber Bananas. He's always, until like this last episode where Cara Maria came back from Redemption, and then also Natalie and Paulie came back. Until then, Bananas was always behind in the numbers. Now it's for sure, like, for every, like, it's always everyone against Bananas. Because there's the new school. There's guys like Corey, Nelson, Hunter, even Tony, who's Bananas' partner. Normally they're all against Bananas. Because Bananas, he's 35, 36 years old. He's been on his 13th season of the challenge or whatever the fuck it is.
He's won 6 times. He's the richest challenger of all time.
And over this course of time, people are not on Bananas' side because Bananas is super old and nobody relates to him. It's the same thing with Cara Maria, where she's been on like 10 seasons of the challenge. She doesn't really have a whole lot of alliance members. Yeah, you can name like 2 of them, maybe 3 of them that are like in that person's corner. But when they cast a new season, you can't cast like half of the people on the season that will vote with them and be in allegiance with them all the way through. And Bananas, apparently he didn't like the next idea for the next challenge, and he's like, hey, whoa. We got to do something different because I don't want to get ganged up on like I was this season.
Yeah.
Because he knew that Corey, Devin, Nelson, Hunter, Ashley, Joss, Sylvia, Shane, Nelson, just a litany of people. I'm not even covering everyone. All those people are going to be against Bananas. Bananas is like, no. We have to make something a little more even. And apparently, according to what we've read on the internet for this next season, it sounds like Bananas is going to get his wish, and the producers of MTV and then of the challenge have switched around the next season in order to make it a little more complacent and a little more compatible with Johnny Bananas to make sure he doesn't get kicked off right away.
Yeah.
And which is kind of confusing because it's like, Bananas, everything is against you this season, and you're still there. You're right there in the thick of it. Like Bananas and
He
Tony.
wants to be comfy.
Yeah, he wants to be comfy. He's Bananas. You have nothing to complain about. You're paired with Tony, who's a great competitor, and there's 6 teams left, and you're right there. Like you have nothing to complain about. You're sitting pretty. Bananas, and also he has an alliance of Natalie and Paulie, Cara Maria and Marie. That's 3 on that side.
Yeah.
And then you have the Lavender Ladies with 3 teams as well. And you just won the last mission. Like, from our vantage point, Bananas is sitting super pretty. It seemed like 2 episodes ago when Zach and Amanda were kicked off, or they chose to get kicked off, or whatever you want to call it. Once Zach and Amanda left, suddenly you're like, oh shit, Bananas and Tony, they're super in deep water right now, and they're probably gone. But that didn't really seem to happen. They've somehow managed to rectify it with the Redemption House and getting Cara Maria and Natalie and Paulie back in there. Tony and Bananas are sitting pretty right now. I don't know what they have to complain about. They've suddenly gone like 5 teams against 1 to being 3 teams against 3 teams. Yeah. They've managed to turn the tide. It's really bizarre how Bananas manages to snake his way out of these positions, but he does.
Well, again, it's we've mentioned it's the producers. Like they really feel like not only does Bananas have to be on every season, he has to win.
Yeah. Oh,
And
for sure.
and we're not just pulling this shit out of our ass. Like I believe Shane tweeted something about like how producers doesn't want the Lavender Ladies.
Yeah. For the next season, they're not inviting certain people from the Lavender Ladies Alliance. They did not invite Shane back. There's certain people that they're not inviting for this next season of the challenge because they're not friends with Bananas, and they want to try and make it so it's easier for Bananas to get to a final.
I once said that Bananas is so good that he should be considered part of the challenge. Can you beat Bananas?
Yeah.
And there's been some pushback of like, hey, yeah, what the fuck? Maybe we shouldn't have Bananas around or whatever. But really, if Bananas has that sort of sway on production, I mean, he should just be called the Banana Challenge. Like the show should be changed. Like what was it called? The reality show, The Mole, where it's like, there was a guy who was part of the cast, but really he was part of production, and he was manipulating shit behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Or like Joe Millionaire, where like the whole time everyone knows that Joe Millionaire isn't rich, he's just part of production and shit.
Yeah.
Part of the game. Just change it then. If it's the Banana Challenge, it's the fucking Banana Challenge. Let's not try and slip.
It's kind of like you were saying with UFC and Conor McGregor, where the production is so behind one of the contestants, where they kind of cater things to that person to try and help them along.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like a weird balancing act. Because while they try to do things in favor of Bananas to help them out, at the same time, they know that there's a large contingency of people who hate Bananas. And they're also trying to appease those people as well. They bring back Corey and Devin and Hunter and Ashley, people that Bananas he doesn't get along with. They do those things, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, because we don't like Bananas. But then they allow Bananas to get away with others as a viewer, because I'm trying to figure out why they're doing what they're doing and how they're exactly planning this out.
Yeah.
As I'm watching it, because the challenge is kind of like a sport, but it is a sport where they make up the rules as they go along.
Yes.
And us as a viewer, we can't really get into that sport aspect of it because there's nothing fair about it. There's nothing right about it. You kind of just watch it and you absorb it. And then for assholes like us who are audacious enough to try and analyze it, we just end up fucking confused and befuddled by the fucking things that we see.
Yeah.
And then we just ended up walking away and just like, fuck it. I'm going to go watch a baseball game. Something I can absorb on my own.
Yeah, the challenge are not sitting there like, how do we appease the reviewers and the recappers and the YouTube personalities?
0 F's given ever.
Jesus Christ.
It's just like, go watch the World Series. That's all that matters. Go watch the Red Sox.
All right, well, you know what? I don't know when the next time I'm going to cover this season. It's
probably after the finale.
Perhaps. I mean, the way things are going, that's
another
entirely possible.
4, 5, 9 episodes, whatever it is.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. All right, well, you know what? Like, subscribe, comment. This was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud
and Hardcore F and Dave.